has taken over. Let's go. It's Ferrall. Coast to coast. Steaks, chicks, stacks. You and I are going to make a lot of money. It's Ferrall, coast to coast.
And we are back for Coast to Coast, hour number 3 here on SportsGrid. Good to have everybody with us as we're talking Stanley Cup playoffs. We've got the Phillies and the Cubs going as well. And the Cubbies just got out, the Phillies, just got out of a bases loaded jam. So the Cubs, Scotty, loaded the bases in the first inning, but Tijuana Walker was able to get out of that. And they go back in the dugout scoreless after one. Amazing.
Yeah, and, I thought, at one point I saw that wind blowing in from left field. Is that about right?
Yeah, blowing in today. The wind is blowing in out from left, so it's going to be tough. Even though, look, we got some guys who I think hit it hard enough that they could maybe cut through some of the wind, like Schwarber and Tucker. I think they can get it out, but it is going to be difficult, especially if you're trying to poke one out to left field this afternoon out at Wrigley. All right, let's do all the hockey for the weekend, including tonight. All these game 3s and 4s that we are going to have in the Stanley Cup playoffs this evening. All 3 teams tonight, Scotty, in the same spot. Teams going home down 2-0, trying to make this a series again, or they'll be finished down 3-0. The first of those is Montreal, as they come home tonight after losing the first 2, but played well in D.C., Caps tonight minus $1.20, even money for the Canadians in a 5.5.
Yeah, I saw on your NHL Today show that you showed the Habs some love tonight. I like that bet. I like your Caulfield goal bet. I like your Kings bet at that price at 9-1 to win the cup. That's crazy. But I'm with you tonight. I think the Bell Center is going to be on its ear. I think the kids are going to play well. I thought that Washington handled their business, but you got to remember both of those games were really close in the third period, and then they finished them off. I don't think they're going to do that on the road in Montreal. I think tonight it's going to be B-side. I think they're going to flip the album, and I think the Canadians are going to get it done.
Yeah, they showed me enough in D.C. that they're going to be competitive in this series, and they're getting their first home game in forever. Gabe told you about that a bunch of times. Canadians are going to win tonight. I don't feel the same about the Devils at the Rock against Carolina. Carolina's minus $1.65 now. Jersey plus 140 and a 5.5. They still are not going to have Hughes and Dillon, 2 of their defensemen. I think it's still a lot of problems for Jersey.
I'm going to take a shot tonight. The Rogie Vachon play with the Devils at 142. I think they'll win the game with violence. I think, you want to go home tonight, sell out. It's going to be a lot of drunks in that building, and they're going to be singing and drinking and thinking and stinking. And I think the way you win the game is with hitting. I think that they need to come out and blast Carolina's ass into the walls, up and down that ice sheet, in every corner, in the neutral zone, every time they see a player on Carolina hit them. And if they do, I think they'll get some bounces and some loose pucks and maybe a Brad lucky goal. I like the Devils at that price tonight. Why not? They can't possibly get bent over and called Charlie and spanked all night long, can they? I mean, every single game they're going to get rocked. Not tonight. Not at the Rock.
Same spot for the Oilers. Coming home, down 2-0. They got whacked in LA, gave up 6 goals both times, even though they had to come back in game 1. They're favorites tonight, minus $1.40, plus 125 now for LA. This was 5.5 this morning, and that's when I grabbed it. It is up to 6.5 now, the total in a lot of places. Do we get a lot of goals again? I think so.
I agree with you. And what I see is it's going to be a lot of Edmonton goals. I like them to win it at the price, minus $1.40. I like them to win by 2 goals at plus 170. And I'm with you completely on the over. I think the Oilers tonight show up and show out and handle the Kings and make this a series. It's either that or start, grabbing some Glad bags. Get ready. You can pack it in and go fishing.
Gladbag City. It happens very quickly sometimes in the Stanley Cup playoffs.
Very stressful.
4-pack on Saturday. A quadruple header, just like the
Whoa.
NBA
Whoa.
of hockey. 1 o'clock East face-off in Sunrise as the Lightning, after losing the first 2 games at home, are going to try to get back in this series on the road. Panthers minus 135, Lightning plus $1.15 and a 5.5.
I'm still on the Panthers. I think they are outclassing the Lightning and frustrating them. I see it in Braden Point losing it. No one's afraid of Braden Point. I think Braden's a great hockey player, but he acts like a tough guy now. You know when he does that? When he's getting his ass beat. And the Panthers are better. They're the champs. They stick a knife in their chest and go up 3-0.
We talked about Vegas. They could go down 3-1 tomorrow afternoon in St. Paul against the Wild. This is a 4 o'clock East, 3 o'clock local face-off. Vegas road favorites minus $1.52, Wild plus 125 and a 5.5.
I mean, it's obvious to me now that Vegas is going down. The Wild will upset them again tomorrow. Whoa. And get the $1.26, so everybody gets free dinner down at the steakhouse.
Wow, how about that? The night game, 7 o'clock East face-off in Ottawa, where the Leafs will try to sweep the Senators. Senators are a small favorite right now by me, minus 115, Toronto minus 105 and a 5.5.
Ottawa finally gets a game. I think they've worked their ass off. They've had no, cash back here. Can we get some cash back? I mean, for the hard work. They deserve, double cash back, vacation, credit card points, the whole deal. I like the Senators in Ottawa at the Tire Center on Saturday night.
And finally, the late game on Saturday in the Stanley Cup playoffs will be a big one for Colorado. They're down 2-1 after losing the last 2 games in overtime. They are minus 175 favorites at home. Dallas plus $1.50. 6.5 the total. Does Colorado even it at 2 back to Dallas?
Everyone and their mother and brother is betting on Dallas. I'll bet on the Avs to even the series. I don't think they lose both games in their building. I think they'll get it done. I hate the price, but I got to do it because I don't think they can beat them by 2 goals. Every game is a 1-goal game. I'm just going to go with Colorado and and I'm also going to go over. I think they're going to score goals. They have to. They have to score goals to win this game because nothing else has worked. They need to start putting a puck in the net, and it's now or never. It's a simple plan for me here at Ball Arena. Crash the crease all day and no holds barred. Doesn't matter if you take Ottinger out, break his neck, whatever you got to do, blow his knee out, whatever you got to do, crash the crease. And they got to have bodies in front of that net all night long like the 4 horsemen.
4-pack on Sunday as well.
Whoa.
Of course, the three games tonight will play again.
Whoa.
The Jets and the Blues are the only team I have the numbers for, obviously. Blues, a small dog at home. Blues plus 105 at home to even it at 2s?
Yes,
wow,
yes, sir.
How about that?
Yes, sir. And then
that is the
I'm going to tell you what. That'll be even.
Yes.
They're going back to Ferrallapeg 2-2. And then I think Carolina will win again. And then I think, oh, God, I want to see Montreal win that game. I really do. I want to see it 2-2 going back to the Capital One. And then I also want to see Edmonton win on Sunday night at 9:30 on TBS because I want it to go back to Lipstick City 2-all. I want to see that series go 7. Let's go.
Enter into the magical world of McLuck.com, where even the smallest of spins can win real cash prizes. Adventure into over 1,000 of the best Vegas-style slot games. So what are you waiting for? Unlock your free welcome offer today. Join the fun where winners play and players win.
Vegas knows how to celebrate. If you're headed to Vegas for your birthday, plan ahead to get all the birthday freebies the city has to offer. Just by showing your ID, you could get free cash play, scratch cards, drinks, and food at various venues on the Strip. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
Okay, what tools can you use to measure those things a bit? And that's where you have like force plates and 3D motion and you know, launch monitors, things like that. But that's all just sort of like measuring what's happening. That doesn't necessarily explain why one guy's really good and another guy's not really good. And that's where there's still kind of like this ongoing, how do you like continue to do research to understand that better? And I think that's going to last well past my lifetime.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
I'm still optimistic eventually this will happen and they'll get it together. I mean, if Florida can get their act together, Sam, with the tribes, I believe that California can too.
Would bring a lot of money to the tribes, which is also something they really care about. It's an $8 billion market. Conservatively, it could be even more when it legalizes. The sports books would be sharing revenue with the tribes, essentially doing all their operations and forking over a percentage directly to the tribes.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
King of the featherweight division for the BKFC, that is King Kai Stewart, who is joining us now, still the champion of the featherweight.
Though he did get dominated, he was still throwing big shots. He landed a lot bigger shots on Palomino than he did me, and I wasn't really impressed. Palomino's getting older. He is definitely a former GOAT. He has done amazing things in this sport, but it's just my time.
Only on SportsGrid.
Don't forget, SportsGrid's continuing coverage of the NFL Draft with rounds 2 and 3 tonight at 7 o'clock Eastern on SportsGrid TV and SportsGrid Radio. The whole cast, like last night, at it again tonight from 7 until close. Last call for alcohol. They'll have it all going tonight in rounds 2 and 3. So let's talk NFL Pain Day Skinny on draft day number 2, Mike.
Yeah, it is day 2 of the NFL Draft. Of course, the second and third round will commence this evening, as you just mentioned. Let's look back at a few things from last night and discuss. Number 1, here it is. There's your board from last night. Now, I will say this to you, because at the start of the show, we brought up how they wouldn't stop with Sanders, and it's all about Sanders. I mean, if you never tuned into anything, you wouldn't even know that this Cam Ward went first. I mean, God, have you ever seen a guy go number 1 overall and get as little juice as this guy got last night and today, etc., and being a number 1 overall pick in the draft? Zero
It's
juice.
like, it's literally, for me, it's like somebody owes Deion Sanders money. It's like they owe him money or something. So they have to talk about his son for a month and a half. Every single day, this is all we've heard about, is this kid who didn't get drafted. And then the kid that did go number 1 gets what did he get, about 30% juice? He got a little juice last night. He got a little juice today in Smashville. But, just for his sake, he's got to understand one thing. He got a long way to go there with that team. He got a long way to go, a lot of work to do. So dig in, kid. Dig your heels in, because you got, honestly, that Miami Cane team that he played on was better than this football team. That's how bad they are. So that team has a ton of work to do. I know they got new players, all the rest, everything else. I think he's a really good quarterback. I loved him. I do appreciate what he did in Miami. I told you before, though, and I'll say it again. In the biggest moments, he just rolled up shop. Like I thought against Georgia Tech and Syracuse and against Iowa State, I thought he was terrible. And, I mean, he fumbled the game away against Georgia Tech. He threw it away against Syracuse, and he got beat by Iowa State, and I thought Miami was a better team than Iowa State. I know all these people give this guy Campbell all this credit that he's got some big juggernaut in Ames, and I'm not one of them. Okay, so calm down there. But I do think he's got an arm, a live arm. He gets rid of the ball quick. I like that about him. And then he gets drafted number 1, and no one cares because they spend all day talking about Sanders.
That's all that they've done. But
they're going to do it again tonight, too.
Yes, until he gets taken, and it'll probably even go on even after he gets taken. It's going to be nonstop with him until he comes off the board.
I think it's embarrassing that he shows up, too, with his big, giant money chain on. Like, bro, you aren't money at all. Like, you know, and let me tell you another thing. Every pick that goes by, you make less money. So, you know what they should have is a minus next to that dollar bill, $1 million chain you're wearing around your neck. I think he's embarrassing acting like his dad. Okay? Fair enough, you love your dad. Fair enough, I respect that. I look up to that. I really do like that he thinks he's his dad. But let me tell you something. He's so far from being his dad, you would think he was a stepchild.
The big move last night at the beginning of the draft was, of course, by the Jacksonville Jaguars. So they moved up to number 2, where Cleveland was. So Cleveland traded the number 2 overall pick and a 4th and a 6th rounder to Jacksonville. Jacksonville gave them the 5th overall pick, of course, a 2nd round pick, a 4th round pick, and a 1st round pick in next year's draft, all to move up and take Heisman Trophy winner Travis Hunter. Here is young 34-year-old new general manager of the Jacksonville Jaguars, James Gladstone. He came from the LA Rams. The LA Rams loved the last few years trading away their 1st round picks. So Gladstone says he knows what he's doing.
I probably got some familiarity with the them picks sort of process. So for our fans, I'll tell you, don't be scared. This is something I'm uniquely positioned to navigate, and we ended up bringing Travis Hunter to Jacksonville, and with that, he is somebody who is deserving of a 1st round draft pick as a wide receiver, and he is worthy of a 1st round draft pick as a corner. Certainly look forward to each of those elements showing themselves over the next few years while he's under his rookie contract. But we're excited about just getting him in the boat, so to speak.
You would think so, based on the fact that they have nothing else. Okay, so they finally have a star player who is very unique and very talented and very athletic and extremely gifted. There is no doubt in my mind that he's going to be a stud receiver and a corner making great plays. I think at some level we'll see how the toxicity of that, if it's going to play out, like that he could actually at this level. Now, remember, he's doing that at Colorado this is not the NFL. You do that in college, congratulations, you got a lot of girlfriends. You do that in the NFL, how many guys have we ever seen play 2 positions in the NFL, an entire game for 17 and get ready for 18 weeks, right? When they start playing 18 games and you're going to play both ways, good luck with that. I'll believe it when I see it. But I do think he's an extremely super stud player that's going to do great things for them, and they need it with their bunk-ass quarterback and that broke-ass team of theirs down there that doesn't matter at all. So they're going to have one good player finally in Jacksonville in that stupid Duval County, okay? You finally got a player because you got nothing else.
And he will play both ways. We'll hear from Tomlin next and Brian Daboll after the Giants traded back up for Jackson Dart.
Daboll!
Here's a tip. Some machines and online games have higher average payouts than others. Want to try to maximize your odds? Well, do some research online to find games which have the highest RTP or return to player percentage. So now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take.
Ka-ching!
Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results.
What? How do you do this one?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
They're so close that we're barely going to be getting any value on the plus side of things. I think there's a little bit of value on the Blue Jays today, but it's an awesome division. Like, I don't want to see teams running away and be up by 12 games in first place. We want to see teams constantly battling for first place.
They hit a team total. I love that. So as many times as we get bad beats, you do get the same amount of good beats, typically in your direction, if you wait long enough.
Pro Baseball today, only on SportsGrid. The game is on. The stakes are high, but the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that ring. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
A little flyer, couple of 15.5 point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. That's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
I will give credit to that GM in Jacksonville that he pulled that deal off. They said that deal got done like April 4th, and they kept it under wraps. And no one knew, as we continued to hear all of these blowhards, whether you think I'm one or not is fine. Think that they know when deals are going to go down and what was going to go down and who was going to get traded and everything else and how trades were going to play out. But the fact that they pulled that off and no one knew is fantastic. Don't give me credit, all these people saying they're taking calls. That's not a story to me. Everyone knows they're taking. Did I not just ask Thomas Dimitrov how many phone calls you took when you were the GM of the Falcons that didn't matter? A bunch of phone calls that don't matter. Everyone knows people make phone calls until a deal is made. Your stupid phone call doesn't mean jack to me. But I'll give that guy credit that he pulled off that deal to get Hunter in Jacksonville. And not only that, I'll give credit to the Browns, and I hate the Browns, but they got a lot out of it, a 4th and a 5th rounder and a 1 next year. That guy did a hell of a job as well for the Browns. It was a great deal for everybody. I think both sides will be really happy when it's all said and done.
Right, and look, the deal was obvious, like you said, it was done weeks ago, contingent on the Titans taking Ward. Obviously, they didn't want to do the deal, and something weird happened at the top, and they didn't get Hunter. Hunter was the guy they wanted. The deal was there. And yes, the kid deserves credit. Could it blow up in his face? Maybe. You know, could Hunter get hurt playing 100,000 snaps a week? Yeah, he might. But you know what? He's first time he's getting a gig like this, and he's throwing it on the table, and he's saying, I'm going to try to change this team and make big moves. So,
I like him for that. I'll give him credit. He's got some stones, that kid. Great job.
And you're right about the Browns, too, because what do they need? They need as many bodies as possible. They need
everything.
And even though the Jags got Hunter, that don't mean that the Jags are going to be some great team next year. And that first-round pick, that could be, if the Jags suck again, a really good pick that they're going to have. And they're going to have a lot of ammo in the first round. So that's a great move all around, as you mentioned. Here's the Steelers now. We mentioned earlier this Derek Harmon, the defensive tackle from Oregon, monster kid. Everyone thought the Steelers were going to go quarterback. No. Here's Mike Tomlin on Harmon having that Steeler DNA.
You know, like Omar said, man, he has Steeler DNA. For us, man, it starts inside and up front. And this is a guy that's capable of dominating that space versus the run and the pass. And so we're really excited about having him. As Omar mentioned, we weren't interested in considering trading away from him, and really excited about getting him in here and getting started.
Listen, I am a firm believer, without a doubt. If you look at the Steelers' history, it's real simple. They won their first 4 Super Bowls in 6 years, and they won inside in the trenches on both sides of the ball. I mean, you could go on and on. Joe Green, L.C. Greenwood, Ham. It goes on and on. Lambert. They on the front line. Webster. I could sit here all day. And they won in the trenches. I still believe that NFL teams win Super Bowls in the trenches. And it starts up front on both sides of the ball. And if you get a guy that size, that each quarterbacks, each running backs, each tight ends can move, is fleet of foot, and has that kind of power, short or long arm, he can do it. He can go up in your face and throw you down on the ground. He can whip by you and smack you in the head and kill your quarterback. This guy is a violent predator. He's a violent predator. He was the number 2 defensive tackle in the entire draft, and they got him over that hack-ass Shedeur Sanders and all of that bullshit. I'll take that kid 6 ways till Sunday. Cam Hayward's career is ending. His days are numbered. And now the future at defensive tackle is right there. And he is a mother Ferraller. That was a great draft pick. And all the people that don't think it was, you're all a bunch of idiots. That kid can play football. And these league games in the NFL are won right there. Right? Everything. You want to know why Barkley did what he did this year in Philly and they won a ring? It all starts up front. Here's another one for you. When's the last time someone stopped them from their little tush-push fantasy from converting? All they do is push people around. You win in the trenches, you win in the NFL. It's that simple.
And that's been a calling card for the Steelers forever, even before Tomlin was there. And you know that Tomlin wants to have those big guys up front making a big presence. We'll talk about what the Giants did as well with Dart and Carter next.
Here's a tip. Some machines and online games have higher average payouts than others. Want to try to maximize your odds? Well, do some research online to find games which have the highest RTP or return to player percentage. So now, go get lucky. See you in Lost Pages. Let's get lucky.
The 2 guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching!
Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results.
What? How do you do this once?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
They're so close that we're barely going to be getting any value on the plus side of things. I think there's a little bit of value on the Blue Jays today, but it's an awesome division. Like, I don't want to see teams running away and be up by 12 games in first place. We want to see teams constantly battling for first place.
They hit a team total. I love that. So as many times as we get bad beats, you do get the same amount of good beats, typically in your direction, if you wait long enough.
Pro Baseball today, only on SportsGrid. The game is on. The stakes are high, but the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that ring. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
A little flyer, couple 18.5 point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. It's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
I'll be the first to admit I have bashed Joe Shane more than anyone ever. And I like Brian Daboll. We know him, and we're friendly with him, and I get along with him, all the rest. But they have done a just horrific job, I think, of running the Giants until last night. I actually thought for the first time ever that dork, he is as white as a refrigerator, this guy, trying to talk to brothers about deals. It's embarrassing. Watching that guy on that Hard Knocks was just laughable. But last night, for the first time ever, Mike, I thought that the Giants actually looked like the New York Football Giants again, making sound business decisions, good picks.
Yeah, it was a good night for them. They were one of two teams that had a couple of picks in the first round for trading back in. They took Abdul Carter with the 3rd overall pick, which was expected. Of course, the edge rusher out of Penn State. And then they move back up to number 25, and they get their potential quarterback of the future with Jackson Dart from Ole Miss. Here is Brian Daboll. He loves himself some Jackson Dart.
Yeah, I think he's got a lot of qualities you look for in a good quarterback. He's tough, makes good decisions with the football, pushes the ball down the field, has athletic ability. Played in a really tough conference, started there at USC as a young guy, but, did a really good job throughout this process of our meetings, board work, workouts, and the tape that we like. So look forward to working with him. I'm glad he's here, and I'll get started as soon as we can.
Listen, I think that their move to get back into the late end of the first round to get this kid at 25 was, Shane, I give you credit. That's a savvy play by you, and you finally have earned my respect. I have thought this guy was an absolute idiot, tool moron since the day he's had that job. And remember, they had quite the reputation of being young, superstar, savvy guys in Buffalo, and we have never seen that. The only thing I ever saw that I liked when he won Coach of the Year was the call he made in Tennessee in that playoff game, when he went for it. And, whatever it was, that game against the Titans when he made the call. Look, I thought that was the only time I ever saw him do anything, oniony. And I thought that since then it's been a disaster, but I actually respect what they did last night. I thought it was a really slick move to make the deal to get him, and I think they basically stole him.
Well, look, and they needed to. We've said this for weeks. The fact that Mara brought these guys back, and they have Russell Wilson, he said he's going to be the starter, which we know. They can't go 6-11 next year with Russell Wilson as the quarterback and Shane and Daboll are going to keep their jobs. They need to be able to say, even if they go 6-11 or 7-10 and go, look, we drafted this kid and he's going to be the future. That Jackson Dart is now Shane and Daboll's calling card to keeping their jobs after this season.
I agree with that.
That is how they're going to keep it. So they could not go in without drafting a quarterback.
If they have 12 losses, they need to put him in, and they need to get rid of Cutlets. And I wouldn't be surprised at all. Listen, I'll just say it first here. I won't be surprised at all if training camp, Dart makes a team and they cut Cutlets, and he's off working at Giuseppe's. Trust me.
Well, he'll be on the practice squad. He'll be the fourth guy. He'll be on the practice squad.
Whatever that is.
And right. But that's what he'll be, unless another team wants to sign him, which, who knows if they would. So good night for them. The Raiders took Ashton Genty at number 6. So Pete Carroll gets himself a big back in Vegas. Now, the way that the draft works is now, of course, they did this a couple years back to prevent holdouts. Nobody is signed yet, but every slot in that first round has a dollar amount that you're going to pay a guy.
Right.
So the Raiders are going to have to, because they took Genty 6th, they're going to have to give him $32 million guaranteed. That would make him already the second highest paid running back in the league with the guaranteed money because of that slotting of how it goes. So it's,
something's wrong with that picture right there. I got a problem with that.
Now, we talked enough about Shedeur, but I'll at least give you him at his party last night after he did not get drafted. He put this out on social media.
Praise the Lord.
Here's Shedeur Sanders on his socials.
We all didn't expect this, of course, but I feel like with God, anything possible, everything possible. I don't feel like this happened, for no reason. All this is of course, fuel to the fire. And under no circumstance, we all know this shouldn't have happened. But we understand we're on the bigger and better things. Tomorrow's the day.
It did happen.
We're going to be happy regardless. Legendary. Ooh.
It did happen.
Legendary.
Yeah, he's a legend already. A legend in his own mind. That's what's wrong with this kid. The whole thing's bizarre with the Deion Sanders and his kids. It just doesn't even taste good, does it? Like, it's just a horrible dinner.
No, it does not. A few names that are still available tonight as we start the second and third round of the draft. Obviously, Sanders would be one of them. Everyone thought this Mike Green, the edge rusher from Marshall, would be a first-round pick. The Will Johnson, the corner, Will Johnson Jr. from Michigan. Everybody thought he was going to go really high, Scotty, and then there was some reports last night of some medical issues for Johnson, the knee issue that concerns some teams. So he's still available now as the second round begins tonight. Of course, Jalen Milroe is there as well in the quarterback pool. You've got a few other guys, a couple wide receivers. There's still some names down there as the second and third round of the draft proceeds this evening.
Trevion Henderson is still available.
Yes.
From Ohio State, obviously.
Yeah.
Excuse me. There's all kinds of guys. I mean, it's going to be crazy.
Cam Scataboo, the big Scataboo, the guy who runs over people from Arizona State. You get him involved.
I like him.
As well. I like him too. It's never too early for odds for Rookie of the Year. I mean, it's never too early for those things. And Cam Ward is the favorite for the Offensive Rookie of the Year. Genty, Travis Hunter, the McMillan kid from who Carolina took, and Hampton, the running back from North Carolina that the Chargers took as well in the early 20s. There you go. Even Trevion doesn't have a team yet, and he's on the board for Offensive Rookie.
Can I just go back there? I think Hunter, I'll take Hunter over Ward. I think Ward's going to learn the hard way in Tennessee. Yeah. And I think Hunter, there's no reason whatsoever that this guy Lawrence can't figure out. It's real simple, bro. Throw this dude the ball. And then if he starts scoring touchdowns as a receiver and he starts picking off passes as a corner, he'll easily win the Rookie of the Year. And remember, he's already won everything else. The Heisman, he wins. This guy ends up he's on the cover of Sports Illustrated holding 2 big mouth passes. This kid gets whatever he wants. They don't give Ward anything. They didn't even give him respect last night as the #1 draft pick. It's all Hunter. And the rest of the night, they talked about this hack-ass Sanders.
Well, this is going to get pushed a lot too, and I'm going to show you this now. You saw where he was for the Offensive Rookie of the Year. He's also there for the Defensive Rookie of the Year. He's on the board as well. He's a little bit further down. Carter's the favorite now for defense, but I'm sure if there's Hunter, he's actually there, 10-1 on the first page to be the Defensive Rookie of the Year as a corner.
I'll take that bet. If he's picking off passes and he's going hizzy, if he has about 2 or 3 of those, that'll be the end of that 10-1.
Because this, we do these awards all the time. At the end of the day, sometimes it's not almost always about how you play on the field. Who's got the juice with the
popularity
media,
contest,
with the narratives, and obviously he's got to make plays. But if he's making plays on both sides of the ball, he's going to get juice on both sides of the ball for those awards. He's going to get it.
I think he's already got the juice, and he's already in the lead, and he hasn't even gone to camp, and he's already favored on both sides of the ball to be Rookie of the Year.
It's very possible, indeed. Rounds 2 and 3 tonight. Everybody can't win.
This is Greg. He bet a long snapper would go in the second round.
The long snapper from Florida is still waiting for his name to be called.
Now this is EJ. EJ tuned into SportsGrid's draft coverage. He checked the app, tracked the markets, followed the pros. He didn't guess. He knew. Be EJ. SportsGrid draft coverage continues Friday at 7 p.m. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're gonna go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's gonna help me get the job done. There is not gonna be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
If you're going to trade Durant, right, it means things are getting weird anyway. Teams are going to, before they go for Durant, they're going to go for Devin Booker. That's just the reality of it.
You get rid of Durant, or do you do the crazy one? Because you're so far out of the West, you get rid of Booker because D-Book will bring you far more in a return.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
Rank is our favorite at the NFL Network, and he joins us now to talk about the weekend ahead in the NFL Draft in Green Bay. First, Adam, good to see you as always from Surf City. I want to get your reaction to last night. I'll just say quickly, we've been talking about what the Giants pulled off was spectacular. Right. What the Jaguars pulled off was even bigger than that. And then we did talk about at some level what the Steelers did instead of Sanders going with that monster Harmon, who I think is an incredible replacement for Cam Hayward in the future at the defensive tackle spot with his size and abilities. He's a savage mother Ferreller. I love that pick. My son hated it. All the Steeler fans I know hated it. They all wanted a quarterback and all the rest. But I actually like the move. I want to get your reaction to the first round.
You know what? It's funny you bring up Derek Harmon because he was one of my favorite players coming into this draft season. Now, one of the players I really loved coming in was Mason Graham. And as a Chicago Bears fan, I was kind of hoping he would fall. I mean, it was unrealistic unless 3 quarterbacks went into the top 10 or some craziness happened. But unfortunately, Mason Graham gets snapped up before the Bears get an opportunity. But then I turned my attention to Derek Harmon. I said, you know what? If he somehow finds a way to fall into the second round, but then you see teams like the Steelers, I know the Ravens were probably in on him as well. And these are why these teams are good year after year. They don't fall for narratives or any sort of, nonsense. They go out there and draft great football players. And when I saw Derek Harmon playing for the Ducks, like that was a guy who looks like he should be playing in the AFC North. Like you could just see him and be like, that's an AFC North player. And so for me, I can't believe it. And I guess I can believe it because fans are conditioned to hate every single pick. You can go back to watching Josh Allen being drafted by the Bills and the fans losing their S. But I think Derek Harmon was one of the best picks in the first round. And I think, 4 years from now, when Derek Harmon's out there dominating a potential defensive player of the year candidate down the road, I think you're going to love that pick.
My entire life, I've gone to 8 Steelers Super Bowls. And I remember when I was a kid, they taught me growing up there that we're going to win Super Bowls by drafting in the trenches. And it started with Joe Green, and it went on from there. And I've already expressed this on the show today. I think they're going back to their roots with that move. I guess the question today, selfishly, because I'm a pig, is that do you think they trade Pickens to get a second-round pick because they don't have one? Or do you keep him based on his talent and put him with Metcalf and see where the chips fly the rest of the draft in 3, and then on Saturday, 4 through 7. What would you do? Because there's all this talk of them trading him. I think he's super talented. They don't like him because he's cocky and he's kind of, I guess, allegedly problematic. Are you serious that Tomlin can't control this brother?
Yeah, I mean, like we see now, when we look back in hindsight and understand that Antonio Brown and Le'Veon Bell were on that Steelers team for quite some time, and there were no issues. Mike Tomlin knows how to manage that. Now, if they find that George Pickens is expendable, because when you look at the history of the Pittsburgh Steelers drafting wide receivers, if there is one team in this draft to find a guy who can replace George Pickens, and one name to watch out for, and I think, like, again, this is another player who I love. And I watched Luther Burden. I was watching Membo tape earlier this offseason. And then I was like, good Lord, this Luther Burden is like a great player. Kind of reminds me a little bit like this. Oh, God, he's so good. And I think there's like some Debo in there. I think there's some Stephon Diggs in there. And if you were able to replace him, George Pickens, with Luther Burden and then get some additional picks, I think that would be a match made in heaven. However, I don't think a lot of teams are going to be giving up second-round picks for George Pickens. And I know that if he calls the Bears, like Ryan Poles would hang up immediately. Like, nope, you did this before. We're not doing this again. They might be stuck with George Pickens, but if they can somehow find a way, and I know that Luther Burden is like, we never know. When you go into the second and third round, you don't know because evaluations are completely different. We see this in the first night of the draft, but the second and third round is where it really starts to come together. If they can somehow manage to find somebody like Luther Burden, I think that that's the way they want to go. And then they're probably going to have to give away George Pickens at some point, or maybe just roll with all of them.
I don't have a problem with the kid. I think he's a great receiver. In fact, in that playoff game where they looked so awful, he's the only guy that was making any plays, and he scored that tutty. I just wish he'd grow up, but that's not my business. What do you think happens tonight? What are the things you're looking for tonight in rounds 2 and 3, and then on a Saturday when it gets kind of boring?
Yeah. Saturday, it's like, I'm so glad that I'm coaching, AYSO, so I don't even have to bother with the draft. You're like, whatever, just text me the players that we get. Obviously looking at the teams who are drafting at the top of the second round, the Cleveland Browns could use a quarterback. The Texans know, the Titans know. The Browns have 2 picks in there. The Raiders are another team, and then the Saints at number 40. This will be a real litmus test for Shedeur Sanders. How downgraded is he in NFL circles? I think with the Browns, you have 2 picks. You might want to roll the dice and say, listen, you know what? We have that pick at number, what I think it is, at 36. Number 33, I think they should go out there and draft. I think Will Johnson is probably the best guy on the board. You can always use a cornerback, especially in this league. Go out there, roll the dice, and just roll the dice and see what happens with the Titans and the Texans pick. If nobody jumps up in front of them, obviously, I think that's something where they could end up taking Shedeur Sanders. But that's going to be the big prize, or at least that's going to be the biggest storylines moving forward through the first or the second and third rounds.
Yeah, I think tonight's juicy. I used to always say I love it when it's over and I can see who my team got instead of sitting through it and suffering through it. I just can't do it. I can't take it. But I got to tell you, I actually enjoyed watching that kid not get drafted because he's so cocky and his dad. And it was so painful, the amount of juice he got from the national media. And they're still cramming him down our throats today. All night last night they did it. All day today they did it. And I love the fact that none of that narrative worked out. Adam, always great to see you. Have a fantastic weekend. Good luck with coaching. Always good to see you and having you on Coast to Coast, my brother.
This is Greg. He bet a long snapper would go in the second round.
The long snapper from Florida is still waiting for his name to be called.
Now this is EJ. EJ tuned into SportsGrid's draft coverage. He checked the app, tracked the markets, followed the pros. He didn't guess. He knew. BEJ. SportsGrid draft coverage continues Friday at 7 p.m. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're gonna go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's gonna help me get the job done. There is not gonna be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
If you're going to trade Durant, right, it means things are getting weird anyway. Teams are going to, before they go for Durant, they're going to go for Devin Booker. That's just the reality of it.
You get rid of Durant, or do you do the crazy one? Because you're so far out of the West, you get rid of Booker because D-Book will bring you far more in a return.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
What would a Friday be without our boy Rich Sermonello?
Hey, Scott, happy draft week to you. We're all enjoying the NFL draft, round one, round two, the whole weekend of NFL draft picks. I'm going to take a step back and take a look at players currently in college. We'll continue our spring game wrap-up, those programs that are finished with spring football and college football. I'm going to hit 4 teams today if I have the time. First off, Colorado, Coach Prime, new era, no Shador, NFL, no Travis Hunter, first round NFL. So it's a new era in Boulder. Going to be interesting to see what Prime can do with a really overhauled roster. He continues to do a good job in terms of the portal. Quarterback, what we saw this spring is you have the old and the new. The old is Caden Salter, former Liberty quarterback, a talented dual threat. The new is Juju Lewis, 5-star, looked like he was headed to USC and Lincoln Riley. Now he's at Colorado. I think Prime will go with the older quarterback, start with Caden Salter. What we saw with Juju, still a little bit unbalanced, erratic, young. That's to be expected. So Colorado set at 6.5, by the way, regular season win total. Now, Texas Tech, one of the buzziest teams this offseason, and for good reason. Joey McGuire, their head coach, continues to do a great job with the portal, retooling that roster on both sides of the ball. 8 wins last year. Regular season win total, Scott, set at 8.5. What I saw this spring, Baron Morton, their star quarterback, sat out, shoulder surgery, but it looks like he's going to start throwing as early as this week, possibly next week. So I think Texas Tech will be fine. Going to be a fun team to watch all season. Now, Michigan, heading over to Ann Arbor. We talked about young quarterbacks like Juju Lewis. Last week, we talked about Keelan Russell at Alabama. Bryce Underwood, the era for this young quarterback looks like it's going to begin. Ups and downs. Again, we're always going to see that with true freshman quarterbacks. I think Sherrone Moore goes with Bryce Underwood. I think he's going to start over Mikey Keene, the Fresno State transfer quarterback. But what I saw that really stood out for me, Scott, defensively, again, NFL draft, we're seeing Mason Graham comes off the board, Will Johnson, Kenneth Grant, stars. It's going to be next man in. Derek Moore, the edge rusher. I think he's been phenomenal throughout the month of April. He and TJ Guy off the edge. Michigan continues to lose players on defense. They're going to be fine. Going to wrap it up with Houston. You're probably going to get tired of hearing me talk about the Cougars throughout this offseason. I love Willie Fritz, one of my favorite coaches in college football. 30 years as a head coach back-to-back losing seasons just once. Houston went 4-8 last year. I think they bounced back in a big way. Over set at 5.5 for regular season win total. Love the Houston Cougars and their new quarterback, Connor Wegman.
Fantastic stuff, Rich. Thanks so much. We love your college skinny for sure. Have a great weekend, pal. It's time for leftovers because everybody loves leftovers.
Everybody does. All right, here we go. First of all, 2 rainouts already in baseball tonight. So no Baltimore, Detroit at Comerica. That is washed away.
Fail.
No Boston, Cleveland either. That has also been washed away. So 2 rainouts here for these early games in baseball tonight. Next, Usyk and Dubois, the rematch, will be July 19th at Wembley for the undisputed heavyweight, championship of the world. If anyone cares about the undisputed heavyweight championship.
Always rooting for him.
A Kobe Bryant's debut Laker jersey sold for a record $7 million. Someone paid for Kobe's
Who had
jersey.
that on their hands? I'd love that kind of cash flow.
Must be nice. A judge in Canada declares a mistrial in that sexual assault case involving the 5 former members of Canada's World Junior Hockey team. They did not say what caused the mistrial, but they were already at it today. They sent the jury home. New trial, new jury selection will begin today. And Adrian Peterson also having a bad day. He was arrested at about 3 o'clock in the morning last night on charges of driving while impaired, was allegedly driving home from the Vikings draft party last night. I hate that we have to do this so often, but he's got to be responsible. How about the team? Can they get him a car?
Can we get somebody?
Party. Can you get the guy a car?
Can we get a ride?
Come on.
Can we get an Uber?
Unbelievable.
Honestly, did you see the video of Gilbert Arenas' son's car crash into that fire hydrant? And he was laying on he was in a coma. I hear he's actually doing better. Let's hope
doing
so.
Better.
Eminem's Stands documentary going to premiere at the London Film Festival about lunatic fans that follow rock stars and musicians. GTD is next. Enjoy the draft coverage tonight on SportsGrid. We'll see you Monday on
so close that we're barely going to be getting any value on the plus side of things. I think there's a little bit of value on the Blue Jays today, but it's an awesome division. I don't want to see teams running away and be up by 12 games in first place. We want to see teams constantly battling for first place.
They hit a team total. I love that. So as many times as we get bad beats, you do get the same amount of good beats typically in your direction if you wait long enough.
Pro Baseball Today, only on SportsGrid.
If you're going to trade Durant, right, it means things are getting weird anyway. Teams are going to, before they go for Durant, they're going to go for Devin Booker. That's just the reality of it.
You get rid of Durant, or do you do the crazy one? Because you're so far out of the West, do you get rid of Booker? Because D-Book will bring you far more in a return.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
11 times now without a major, 14 times at the Masters. He finally has the green jacket. Rory McIlroy.
The best sporting event so far this year. It's better than the Super Bowl. It was better than the NCAA tournament. It had ups and downs. It had roller coaster rides. It had history, legacies. It had everything you could ever possibly want.
Ferrall Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
The 2 guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun. I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching!
Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results.
What? How do you do this once?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.